Margaret Owen, international human rights lawyer and campaigner. Thank you very much for being with us today. Firstly, can I start by asking what's your reaction against Turkish invasion against northern Syria?
My reaction is absolute horror and indeed great shame and anger that my government has been so silent. Yes, of course, our anger is directed very much against Trump for just like that withdrawing the troops, which have been actually supporting the extraordinary work and sacrifice of the Kurdish YPG and YPJ, who've been defending everyone in Syria who has been taken over by ISIS, who have liberated Kobani, liberated Afrin, who actually have brought as refugees into Rojava people from all religions, ethnicities and ethnic communities. So I'm horrified because this is like a new civil war that is happening, and we've actually sacrificed, betrayed the Kurds. Yet again, it's not the first time we've betrayed them. We're betraying them now, and I'm sickened that our government is still giving and selling arms to Turkey and talking about Turkey as its ally when all the evidence is there that Turkey under Erdogan is conducting a genocide against the Kurds in Turkey and the Kurds in Syria. So my reaction is I'm sickened, angry and ashamed.
You've been in the region before as well. You visited Rojava, you visited Turkey many times as well. You have witnessed Turkish oppression against Kurds as well. So how would you describe your observation from Rojava?
Well, I've been to Rojava 3 times, and I wish I was there now, because it was an incredible experience that has never left me. And I talk about Rojava wherever I go and wherever I can, because it's an absolute miracle, the revolution in Rojava, and the way this autonomous administration of Rojava has developed the sort of society which is a model for all of us, not just for Syria, not just for the Middle East, but for the whole world. It's a new way of organising society, which is so that it is really truly fair and truly democratic. And of course, the origins or the inspiration for all this is Abdullah Öcalan, who of course has been in prison unlawfully for the last 20 years. But for me, it's a real model with gender, with women's equality, gender equality absolutely central, with freedom of belief, respecting everybody's right to practice their own religions or code of ethics, providing it doesn't hurt anybody else. And the way it's always about peace. They want peace. And then you see, when you're in Rojava, it isn't just about the Kurds, it's about all the different ethnicities and groups. So even the languages now, remember that Assad, just like in Turkey, Kurdish was a forbidden language, but now the 3 official languages in Rojava are Kurdish, Arabic and Assyrian. And everywhere there is this whole communism where people right down to the grassroots, to the villages, to the streets, have got a voice. And what I love most of all about it, because of course I'm a feminist, which means I'm for everybody, and I know you're a feminist too, because don't think that feminists are just women. Men and boys are feminists, because we know that if we don't have gender equality, we'll never have a real democracy. But I love the idea that we've got co-chairs, even of the People's Defence Units, the national government, the political parties, the banks, the health institutions, the universities, every decision-making body must have co-chairs, a man and woman.
That's why Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan says, if the woman is not free, the society cannot be free.
It can't be free, and that's what comes from Öcalan. Never before have we had a male leader like Öcalan. Gandhi never said that. Moses never said that. Muhammad never said that. Mandela never said it. Öcalan has said it, and Öcalan's writings written from prison, they are inspirational for me. So Rojava, I live with Rojava in my heart and in my soul, and I talk about Rojava everywhere anyway. So on top of this terrible, terrible invasion and genocide and destruction, intended destruction of the Kurds, but they won't be destroyed because they will resist to every fibre of their being. I mean, they will not. They will never, never give in. They're also destroying something absolutely miraculous that we should preserve and emulate wherever possible. And there's something very ironic that now the Kurds in Syria, who have been victims for so many decades of the Assad regime, Assad and his father before him, now have to look to the regime to defend them against Turkey and against Russia and against Iran. So I'm appalled because it isn't just what's happening in Syria, which is going to go on for the civil war. It's actually what is happening in Syria is affecting the whole world order. And it's actually throwing into the quagmire all the human rights institutions, the United Nations mechanism for human rights that we've set up since the end of the Second World War. Our support, and it is still support for Erdogan, in this country we still call him our ally. It's a green light then to dictators all over the world to completely discount international standards and international law.
Coming to international law, you know, a lot of civilians, including children and women, has been killed. And also, I think you know her as well, Havrin Khalaf,
yes.
the co-chair of Syrian Future Party, was executed by Turkish army again and their allies. So in this case, like, there are a kind of that people would describe it as a war crime. So what kind, you are an international human rights lawyer, what kind of legal actions can be taken against Turkey?
Well, not starting with the most important thing, because these are war crimes, and they have been very well evidenced by the People's Tribunal on Turkey, which we've had meetings in the European Parliament, and we've had meetings in Parliament here with literally over 400 testimonies about Turkey's atrocities, even before Afrin, their atrocities in Cizre and Sur in Turkey. And now we've got what happened in Afrin and what is happening right now. And therefore, these are war crimes, and therefore Turkey, we are in breach, and the United States, we are in breach of the ATT, the arms treaty, because we're selling arms to Turkey. So that needs to go for judicial review. But greater than that, but of course this depends upon the Security Council, we feel, a lot of us feel, that Turkey needs to be prosecuted at the International Criminal Court for its war crimes. It's unbelievable that we call people, our volunteers who come back working with the Kurds, they come back and they're arrested here because we call them terrorists, because Erdogan does. So we've got to just stop that language. We've got to stop in this country calling Turkey our ally. How can we have an ally it's like saying Hitler is our ally. It's appeasing this genocide. But we have to go on trying to talk about dialogue. We know that it's no good sending in more and more troops. We've got to try and get a complete ceasefire, and we've somehow got to be able to talk to Russia and Iran. I wish I had more answers for you, but I worry that civil society, and I'm not a member of Parliament and I'm not a member of the House of Lords, I'm simply civil society, non-governmental organisations, and we have to be very, very strong in our protests now, because already the space for us is shrinking all the time. We find it very difficult when I go to the United Nations to actually get in there. We're often in the ghetto talking to each other. We've got to be much more strategic and come together. And in this country, I have to say, I don't want it to be monopolised by the Labour Party. What is happening in Syria, what is being the crimes of Erdogan, are for all parties. These are cross-party issues, not particular political party. So that's what we want to do, to try and bring it all together. And we want dialogue. We've got to stop this conflict, and we've got to help the refugees. And of course, it's Erdogan who is blackmailing the European Union about the refugees. But it's unbelievably terrible to be a refugee in Turkey. It's not good.
Margaret Owen, international human rights lawyer, campaigner. Thank you very much for your comments and being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for interviewing me. Thank you.